Hey, welcome. It is National Beach Day today, and what better practice of a yoga flow than to do it on the beach? It's a beautiful day. I was a little apprehensive about what the day would bring, but it is clearly really the blue skies are out to play, surfers are out, people are in the water. We have our little furry friends, feathered friends. It's just delightful and how spectacular this day turned out. You can feel the energy in the air. I am holding on and sending out good vibes. People in Florida, but even in Florida, you can sense those hurricane energy even in the hundreds of miles away. So, yeah, stay tuned. Mother Nature is not a force to be reckoned with, but just truly respected and staying humble in all of it. So this flow for you is about energy. Energy of our spine. So when we wake up in the day, we feel vibrant and taking one step in front of the other and feeling good about it. So notice how the waves, there are curves of the waves, this understanding that the waves, there's a rise to the waves, there's a fall to those waves. There are some portions of the waves that there might be a little bit more thickness, and how it curves around. And with that curve, we can absorb force. As it comes to the coast, it just dissipates. Just this magnitude of ebb and flow. But with the ocean, because it has so much force, you need to have waves. Some days are more turbulent than others, but it would be very odd if we did not have waves in our oceans. And what we can learn from these waves in our body, so we can absorb force. So pain doesn't have to be a constant. And how, if you have pain, how we can breathe into those areas so that energy is just totally content with absorbing into our tissues and keeping our bones in a healthiest of support to our structure. So let's come down onto your mat, and I want you to absorb how your spine sits. I like to get my sitting bones to be a little bit connected, more connected, where I can feel them on both sides. And if I'm more anterior tilt with a suppleness in the back, I have all that. If I'm rolling where I'm creating just curve in that C, I'm not going to have that. It might be available and easy, but we want to practice where we can have lots of waves versus just this C structure coming out of into our being absorbed in our bodies. So I use my hands, I use my knees to be active and pressing away. So my heart space is open and I feel my center, my lowest of belly muscles kind of come to the rescue to help grab on to save the day as I lengthen the spine and follow my breath. And as I am following my breath, maybe sensing a wave of ebb and flow on my inhalations and exhalations. And does it roll on in and roll on out? Is there stoppage factor or choppy factor in some sectors? Or is it smooth all the way down and all the way up with no judgment, but just observation as to how you're breathing today? Taking in common senses, taking in the common sense of air, of sounds, air touching your skin, sounds in your ears, right ear, left ear. Maybe it's sights and sensations of what's around you. Maybe it's how the tongue tastes. Just taking in those common senses and being connected with your body, with your breath, and feeling that length of spine being wide open. And creating some movement with the skull, with the head, with the neck as you roll it, maybe from one direction and then to the other. Maybe to roll it with the shoulders. Maybe to kind of use those elbows to create rotation of the torso. Planting the hands. And then even though I am wanting to go inward into that C-spine, can I use the force of my hands to grip, to wrap those triceps, and to be active in my seat again? Anterior tilt, reaching the knees, heart space is wide open, and just take in the sense of energy overhead. The clouds are magical as they kind of separate and come together. Who would have thought that a cloud weighs about 2,000 pounds? So amazing. Maybe moving the whole body from side to side. And then see if you can use the curves of your back, the energy in your seat, to use the hips to root so you can lead with your heart to come back up to a seat. And then leaning on back, gripping all 10 fingers, active in your seat, knees are energetically reaching. And if you were to open it up, feeling you know who, grabbing on to save the day. Heart space moves forward. Try it one more time. Gripping all 10 fingers, opening it up, reaching the knees, flexing at the ankles. And then seeing, even though the wind is resisting, I am leading with my heart because it knows the way. The sternum of the ship, sternum of your body, and leaning on in. I'm going to come onto quadruped somehow, some way. maybe I'm kind of rolling and I'm using those knees the same way as I use my seat. You notice how I wanted to go on my side because it was easier, but you'll practice to allow your centers to know its magic. I'm going to start in frog with frog legs, and it gives me more curve of my lumbar back as I roll forward and back. And I'm gripping all 10 fingers, maybe separating and taking time out to get some space into my bones of my hands. You want to always be tenting so you have space in the center of the eye of your hand. And see how that feels as you grip all 10 fingers, pulling the heart space through, triceps are wrapping, knees are wide, and we're going to hover the knees and then spin those knee bones in so we're back into down dog. Pedaling out the feet, make it feel good. Make it feel find that magic. And then regripping those fingertips to allow the heart to come forward into plank, rebending the knees, and then landing, and then frog, and then see if you can spin those knees. I'm going to be more wide, and I just want you to notice how you can spin those knees so the whole leg spins. Just be curious how the ball mounds work. And then parallel those feet, gripping all 10 fingers. Heart leads the way, plank, and undulate. I'm not landing my knees this time, but I'm just going in one direction, undulating to the other, rebending, planking, rebending, finding my way around with wave. Left foot lifts, pushing into the ball mound to the right, left foot steps forward, dropping the knee but not the toe. Lizard, bringing the opposition of the inside of the knee and the outside of the arm bone, and just kind of wander how that makes you feel. As maybe you're spinning the heel in and out, maybe moving the whole foot at first, but then notice that heel bone is pretty vital and important. Every time you take a step, that force in the heel ricochets its magic. Just like those waves in the ocean, it just needs to absorb force throughout our movements. And then lengthen into your spine, invite the shoulders back. I'm going to hover the back knee. We're lifting and then loading with all 10 fingers, gripping all 10 fingers, unloading, bend the knee, open up that left hip. And then maybe wave just independently the leg. You can do this with the knee down. You can do bigger waves or smaller waves, or maybe just little circle waves, flexing at the ankle, and just sensing how that feels as you rebalance that hip point. We're going to step that left foot forward, followed by your right foot, coming to the top of your mat, Utkatasana. Both hands plant to the top of the thighs, spin both those heel bones in, lengthen the whole entity of the spine with curve. I haven't taken the bend out of my knee, but we're just figuring out our curves of our spine first. And then finally, as I sense the ear of the shoulder, shoulder or hip, then I'll take out the bend of my knee. So now the knees are over my hips, knees are under my hips, ankles are under my knees. Crescent lunge, out of that reach, switching from side to side, but grounding down in the sides that you're reaching from. I'm going to pick up the heel of my left and step back of your mat, side angle as you reach, and take in breath, and maybe extending that back knee, and seeing as you extend the knee, if you're inside the edge of that heel, and then when you bend, does it change? We're going to press those footprints away, cartwheel the arms. Both hands are going to plant to the top of your mat, stepping three-legged plank, and then gripping all 10 fingers, maybe dropping the knee, but we're lowering all the way down to the mat, to baby cobra. And keeping your heart space open, find your locust. Maybe spinning those arm bones. Feeling strength of the lumbar spine. Interlace the fingers, invite the shoulder blades down here as you find length in that back line. Maybe rebending the knees feel good. If a bow is in your practice, go for it. And then as I lower down, I'm releasing with connection to my core, bending at my elbows, forehead rests, and windshield wiper or waving the knees to the left and to the right. Make it feel good. Both hands plant underneath the chest. Sometimes we plant a little too far up, but you're going to have most strength by your bro-bra line, gripping all 10 fingers, hips lift up, pressing down to lift up. Find your child's pose, frog legs, knees grow wide, big toes are narrow. Just kind of wander your wave to the left, to the right. Make it feel good. All 10 fingers grip. And we're coming into that frog where our knees are wide, maybe tucking the toes under, maybe isolating the movement of your hips to roll under and create its own isolated wave. And again, I'm kind of very much lining up my bones. Always have to readjust where those points feel the best. But I'm very grounded in my footprints as I'm rolling under and rolling back. And maybe as I roll back, pushing more energy into my ball mounds of my feet to feel a stretch sensation in those lateral hips. Should feel good. Let that wave bring your hands over or under your shoulders, pushing into the ball mounds of their feet into plank. Rebend the knees, keep the shoulders down the back, and undulate. Hips lift, down dog, finding your plank, first to one direction, and undulate, rebending the knees, not dropping the hips as you move forward and back. gonna keep my down dog. Right foot lifts. Right foot steps forward. Feet are on two separate planes. And I have my pyramid feet. I'm a little more narrower than a warrior, or closer than my warrior. And I'm spinning my heel bones out, kind of figuring out how to find curve of my spine by pushing down to grow that length. And maybe heel pushes back, heel pushes forward to come up with a little bit more to the top of my mat as I wander left to right, right to left. Make it feel good. How you can wave your body, your spine, full body wag with your ribs. Both hands plant. And I'm going to hang out into my lizard. And what can I get benefit from? As I ground down with my hands now, as I push my ball mound down and my heel forward. So much going on. Doesn't look like much, but it should pack a punch in a healthy, delicious way. Modified side plank. I'm going to spin my leg out. And then maybe add that reach, stacking up my bones. Maybe reaching, if that is in your play, if that's in your practice. And allow the hips to go wide first. So almost like a clamshell opening. And that gives me space to find that reach. So it's healthy and safe for me to unload and weight bear just on the one side. Footsteps to the top of the mat. Both hands land. And kind of wander back into that lizard. Maybe it still feels a little better. And the way that you wave to the side, to the left, to the right. Taking a breath, taking in sensation. Three-legged dog. I'm picking up the back knee, bending the knee, opening up the hip, gripping all 10 fingers to keep my shoulder blades down. So cool to be upside down and then maybe rebending, but keep the hip doesn't follow. It's the leg bone that's just isolating its movement, rebalancing the hip. Make your wave, isolating the movement of your leg. Don't be afraid to bend those knees to make it feel right. And then rebalance that hip point. And we're stepping to the top of the mat. Right foot, left foot. Right foot steps back. Warrior two hands, warrior two body. But we're going to come into side angle facing the back of your mat. And then bend those knees. Feel how you can push forward and back to get you into feeling that stretch sensation. But we're never sagging the hips. You want to keep space of this curve to help you absorb that force in a healthy way. Leaning on back, opening it up, making your own waves as you push those foot points away. Take it in, make it happy, make it healthy. Cartwheel those arms. Both hands are going to land to the top of your mat. Three-legged plank. Keep your curves of your spine as you lower down using triceps. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Baby cobra. Maybe upward dog. Hovering the tops of the thighs. Baby cobra. I'm going to have more space in my wrist bones too if I keep gripping my fingertips. And then this time I'm going to hold my baby cobra and come into locust. Float it out. Maybe being passive in the movements. Maybe being more active as you ground down. Gripping, moving, lifting, ball mounds down, push down to get up, pedaling at the feet. Maybe looking ahead, hopping, walking to the top of your mat, Utkatasana. Brush off that sand, or maybe let it be coated on your body. Choice is entirely up to you. Rocks give us energy. Little pebbles of sand gives us energy. Stacking my body first, and then taking out the bend in my knees. Switching, moving, lengthening, pedal it back. And then maybe take those pauses. I need some water. Chips are out today. So awesome. Whatever your flavor, never gets old. Tadasana, find your rock, find your mountain. So much energy in our posture as we stand tall. Stand with strength and courage and love. May you accept yourself just the way you are. Be kind to yourself, being kindest to all beings. Hands pressed to the heart, taking it in, rebending the knees, and coming into prayer Utkatasana. So I can't tell you how much value I have of using those heels to pull on in. And then if I were to kind of push into the ball mound of my foot, and then unload. Woo. I come into airplane, maybe bending at the back knee, and then coming back into standing with bent knee. So the hips have to have their anterior tilt with that wave in the low back. I'm going to flex at my ankle, gives me more energy into the lines of my leg, and then adding rotation. If this is not right for you, keep the ball mound down as you're twisting, but do it with space. Do it with breath. Do it with fun. We're going to land that left foot back, warrior one. Lengthen the spine and kind of move and groove. We're moving into ostrich. Both heels are connected with each other as I move into a slightly angled. My head, finding that length in my spine. Toe lifts up in the front foot, arms are reaching. And then maybe pushing into the heel, opening it up. Arms are reaching, maybe interlace the fingers, push the toe up. Hips are reaching. Heart space is moving in the opposing direction. And I use my hand side angle, but we're maybe more on that modified. Maybe we're lifted. But whatever it is, find your curve. Maybe your curve is here. Find your curve of where you can ground down and open up. If twisted scissors are in your practice, I'm going to lean on in and then open it up. Feel that energy. And wherever you're at, you're stepping that right foot back and lowering down. Heart leads the way. Maybe baby cobra, maybe upper dog. Toes tuck under, bending at the knees maybe, so you have that curve. Undulate to the front, into that plank. Undulate to the back. And then hop it, walk it, shift it to the top of your mat. Keeping the sand. Sand is required when you're working on the beach. Find that length. That's how slow it happens. You know, just practicing this fortitude of length into our spine without giving up our grounding into our footprints. Doesn't look like much, but it packs a punch. Find your Tadasana. Just discovering maybe different smells in the air, maybe different sounds. Maybe your heart is beating a little faster. At least mine is. Those hops really give me that cardio. Who says that yoga can't give you cardio, right? Hands point to the heart. Picking up the heel. of that right. Find your curve of your spine as you drift into airplane. And then gently bring it tall into a bent knee stance. Or right knee is bent, left leg is grounded, and then turning. You can always do this with the ball mound down first. If a longer length is in your practice, go for it. But whatever it is, do it with love. Right foot steps back, warrior one. And find your wave. Beach waves, please. Find your ostrich. Ground down into those feet. Those heels are lined up. Make it feel good. Make it feel right. As I lean on back, toes lift up. Maybe the arms lift out. See if you can ground down into that heel as the hips go in one direction, heart space goes in the other. Your body likes that. Just like our spine, we need that tension on both ends. So is the other facets of muscles that needs that tension, the hamstrings. That's why if you've had any injuries in the hamstrings, they need to develop more of a healthier neurological stability sense of that tension and that healthier tension and health. And make your way down. Maybe using that side angle, but keep the curve of your lumbar spine. Adjust your footprints. Make it your own. Maybe twisted scissors is in your practice. I'm going to just lean on my bones as I lift up. It's fun to join my feathered friends in flight. And coming into devotional warrior. And then allow the feet to be on two separate planes. As both those hands land, unload that front foot, maybe your three-legged plank, maybe your fully expressive lower on down. Hips don't drop, don't lose the spine. Curve, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Upward dog. I think I'm joining the ocean after this flow. Coming into child's pose. Whether it's active or passive. Make it your own. Find your curves. Allow those curves of your spine to give you the energy that you need. And throughout this life, throughout our journey of living, we need to keep our curves. So our practices should be fortifying those curves to stay vibrant, strong, and healthy. Namaste. Thank you for joining.